All right, we are back, and this is episode 3 of playing Noble Legacy, building our little village here in this early access game, which kind of has been growing on me lately. In any case, it's also the first time I decided I have this walking treadmill at my desk, and I try to get exercise while I'm playing games. And lately, I've been wanting to be a little more mindful as I play games. So I thought, well, let's expand the channel a little bit by doing gaming videos. Just kind of, alongside the general talking about life stuff I do, just kind of playing a game and uploading the recording of that so that I can, I guess, break the habit of always wanting to do something on my second screen and, just not really being present and not really getting through so many of those games that have been on the bucket list for a long time, wanting to play and saying, well, one of these days I'm going to go play that game. And then I just never really do. And another year goes by, and you look at those 200 games in the library, and you think, oh my goodness, maybe one of these days. And then there's a point in your life when you think, maybe one of these days should be now. Maybe I need to change my life by doing something a little bit different than what I have always done. So here we are in Noble Legacy, and I'm walking on my treadmill while I record the video. So this is definitely a kill multiple birds with one stone kind of activity. I get to have the chill, unwinding gaming time. I get to be doing something that's going to help me focus on being a little bit more mindful, a little bit more introspective, and I can get my steps in, get some exercise while I'm doing it, because especially on these work days when I'm at the office for long hours, I don't really have time to walk on the treadmill for hours and also sit down and play a game for hours and also make a video. Like, I can't do all of those things all at once. But as it turns out, it seems that I can do all of those things at the same time. So here we are. And since last time, I was trying to make that tavern over there. And, there it is. I think it looks all right. We have employed a few more villagers. And one thing that I've noticed that's kind of obnoxious is if you go into the kingdom management, you look at villagers, well, you have several different types of villagers. So we have Margaret here, who's a tradesman. Abigail is a noble. Greta is a peasant, and so on. And each villager can do different kinds of things based off of what kind of a villager they are. The problem is, let's say I have Abigail, who's a noble, doing something that a villager with less skill could do. Well, there's not an easy way to kind of just look at all of your villagers at a glance and then move them around based on their qualifications. Like, you have to look at each individual one and kind of remember what you saw. And that's a little disappointing I definitely hope that as the game goes through early access, that changes, because I did recruit some villagers and then I realized I couldn't employ my villagers because like the tavern and the armory require a higher level of villager, and then I had to like hunt and peck around to figure out how to move them around so that they were all able to have jobs. So here's that. Anyway, I was thinking, since last time we've managed to build a tavern, build a bridge. We have not built a church though. So maybe this is going to be the day for starting to build a church. And we also maybe should start building with bricks. And I believe that the foundry can make bricks. And I've never made any bricks, so I'm not 100% sure. I assume that you can make multiple different things. So you need clay to make bricks, so that makes sense. But what do we need for a stone foundation though? Is that bricks? Granite? Bricks, okay. So maybe a brick foundation just requires bricks made out of clay. Not super sure. The way inventory management is set up in this game also kind of confuses me. Though I was playing some Medieval Dynasty, uploaded a video of that first initial play time I spent in that game, and that was actually even more frustrating. My intention is to get back into Medieval Dynasty and we will figure it out. But my goodness, it is obnoxious. You hire a villager and the villager just stands around. You can't figure out how to make them work. And, you know, that's one of those things where, you know, early player experience and tutorials, like those are important things. If you are struggling to feel like you know how to play the game, and it's not like you're really all that committed to it either, right? Like you haven't put 1,000 hours into the game. You put all of 30 minutes into the game, and you're already feeling like, you know, this is frustrating. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to play. I'm taking an hour to figure out how some of the basic mechanics of the game work. And I'm watching YouTube videos to try to figure out how to play. You know, it's just not feeling fun, right? Like I've felt that. And definitely I've also thought about how trying to figure out how to play some games is actually the identical experience, oddly, to what I've been going through at work. And that's kind of crazy because my whole life, to some degree, it's been, you know, I've always done jobs that were focused on tasks in one way or another. Like, I've managed people in Walmart stores. And yes, there's a level of responsibility you have. There's definitely thought involved. But a lot of it is also like manual labor, right? You just have this sense that you know, I could do it all, right? Like, if you work faster, if you work harder, if you run your wheels off, then you're more productive. It's about opening boxes and stocking freight. It's about going and finding workers and making sure they're working. It's about saying, hey, you know, I'm following up. Is that note done? Did you get the things done that you needed to get done? Whatever, right? And that's fine. But now I have a job where I'm a manager, but I don't manage a team of workers. Maybe a distribution center office will call me. Maybe someone will reach out in a Teams chat. Maybe a driver on the road will call because he needs me to do something for him, right? It's all technical stuff, though. And it's all done on a computer. So the crazy thing is, you start to realize, like, it's exactly the same thing as trying to figure out how to play a video game. And that's kind of weird. But it's true. It's the same feeling. It's the feeling of you turn on your computer, you load up the applications you're supposed to be working with, you feel lost. It's not that complicated, but it's also not that easy. And if you're not careful, you can start to burn yourself out with that feeling of being overwhelmed. And then maybe you're not having fun. Or you can look at it as a challenge and say, you know, I came here to do what I sat down to do, so maybe it's not going to be easy, you know? Like, maybe you're going to have some play sessions where you log in and you don't actually have a lot of fun. But it's fun after a while. It's fun when you say, I gave it the college try, and I did what I set forth to do. You know, I was at work today, and there's this moment where I just feel really, really not happy at all. It feels like there's just too much to do. I don't really understand what I'm doing well enough to be comfortable. And then all of those insecurities start to kick in. I start to think, well, you know, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I just am not cut out for this. And it's not like they're these enormous tidal waves of emotion. They're just those intrusive thoughts, those things that you kind of become aware of. And if you're wise, you don't spend too much time meditating on those thoughts. And then you continue going about your business. And you take a few deep breaths. And you put your foot in your mouth a few more times. And then a few hours later, you start to get that inkling that you're actually beginning to kind of get the hang of it. Just a little bit. And you start to feel like it's not that hard to believe that if you stick with it, after a while, you might have more fun than you expected. You might be better at it than you think. And it's quite possible that the things you think are going to cause problems in your day or problems in your life are actually things which will help you to grow as a professional or as a person. And it really doesn't matter whether you're trying to figure out how to build a fictional settlement in a video game, or if you are trying to figure out how to navigate the software and systems necessary to do dispatching and logistics. Everything in life that is meaningful requires a consistent effort. It requires a willingness to be uncomfortable and a capacity to have grace when you don't feel it. You know, for me, so often I walk into my apartment, I don't feel like playing a game. I don't feel like doing anything. What I feel like doing is not turning on any of the lights and laying down in the corner and just scrolling on my phone for a few hours until eventually I inevitably resent myself for it and wonder why it is that yet again, instead of doing that Skyrim playthrough that I've been talking about finishing for years, I chose to do nothing. And that's not a particularly excellent feeling. But when you do something deliberately and mindfully that you don't want to do, just like exercising or really anything, kind of pays off. There's a dividend there. So that's kind of, you know, that's the theme of this channel. It's all about games and it's about a lot of different things, but more than anything else, it's about that allegory that life is kind of like a game. And a lot of the same things you would do to enjoy a game, you could also probably do to enjoy and have a more full life. So, anyways, that's the story. Now, the real question is, where are we going to build the church? And I'm thinking, what if we just build it right here? Right in the middle of town. Like, that's where a church would go, right? Because in the old days, people would build their whole community around the church. Like, that was a community center. That was where you practiced law. It's where you got married. It's where you had town hall meetings. Like, there wasn't anything in life, really, that didn't happen at the church. So it would be the nicest building. It'd be probably a stone building. And it would be right in the middle of town. So we're kind of built up on a hill, so I think we're going to just do something like that. I can move the roads around later. And I know it's not going to exactly line up because, you know, the game's a little bit janky to a point. That's all right. But I think that could be about the right size. If I go any further, I'm going to start to have issues with like that building is going to be a little too close. But that can be like the porch. The front porch of the church can be right there. And I really like this top-down view. Like, yeah, it is janky. Yeah, it's finicky. And I don't like some of the way it works. But the fact it exists is such a game changer. So, I wonder if I can do one more stone foundation piece there. Maybe not. So you have to start in the area which is the highest elevation. Otherwise, it'll start clipping into the ground, clipping into the grass, and nobody likes that. So I also do want some green space here at the front edge of town, because when you walk in, I want it to feel like, you know, it's kind of green and pretty and inviting. So I think what it is now, like when you can't place a block here because the ground is too low. So the front corner isn't actually touching the ground. And you can't have a foundation that isn't touching the ground. Maybe that is the piece of wisdom you need to take from this video today. You cannot build a foundation that is not touching the ground. Well, anyways, you know, I think I am going to just put that there. And I'm going to put that there. And that is going to be the extent of the foundation of the church. And then what I'm going to do is, because that's real narrow. I don't like that. So I'm going to take and demolish this here deal. You gotta be careful. You can delete the entire structure instead of just that little piece you're looking at. Okay. So that's fine. That building will just kind of move a little bit. That was where I was going to put the armory, but we didn't really do an armory yet, so it's okay. That building can just kind of come in some other time. Haven't had too much trouble with the bandits yet, but time will tell, because there may be trouble in our future. A severe storm is on the horizon. See, now there is where the problem is. These stairs are not really on the ground. So I am not cool with stairs that look like they're not touching the ground. So we're going to have to do something a little bit different here. I guess this piece of the church is going to have to go away. That's all right. You know, I always admire the stuff people do in Minecraft. Like, they build such amazing things. And other games like Enshrouded come to mind. All right, so those stairs are fine. They are not sticking up out of the ground in a weird, unnatural way. And this can be our church. Made out of stone. First thing we have built so far, made out of stone. So, the brick wall. So that is probably like, that's what we'll make the church's walls out of. Got it. All right. Probably windows. We want to have windows. I think we probably want to make it a 2-story church. But, you know, let's just go about the business of doing the first floor first. So, I've been to churches, like little churches. And so we're going to just kind of try to make this realistic. So you walk into a church and you're going to have windows in the area where the congregation meets. You're going to want to have like a porch kind of an area. So probably this square right by the steps will be left open. And then we'll put the door. See, we could put the door right there. So you walk in and then you go kind of in the side. And that could be a little more natural. We're going to just do that and see what it feels like. Because if you walk in, then you're in kind of this little lobby area. Like that's where you'd put the coffee or whatever. Or you have like some member of the clergy there kind of being like, "Hi, welcome to the church, my brother." So then we'll have another door here. And we will have a wall. So this is like the little kind of lobby welcome area. This will be the porch, basically. Then you would walk into potentially you'd walk into the congregation hall. And you'd want to we'll have another wall here. We'll do another window. But we'll have a separate room right there. And that would be kind of like probably like a Sunday school kind of a room. That's what you'd do. You'd want to have like something that's not the main congregation hall where like the pews and stuff would be. And then we'll have more windows on the walls. But we're not going to go all the way to the back. We're going to have another door over here. Another solid wall there. Then we'll have this kind of like a back room area. And here we will probably have one room that doesn't actually have any windows. And the reason for that is that you'd probably want to have kind of like a place that's private, like a closet. You'd have maybe some supplies, like if you were going to have communion, like the communion stuff, you know, ritual stuff for services, whatever. And then, because we're going to be just a wee bit progressive, we're going to put a door here. Because, you know, it's not a bad thing to be able to escape if you have a fire. That being said, though, you know what? I don't actually like that. I want to switch these. I want to put the door here. And I want to put solid wall there. And the reason is because I don't want to be able to really, like, look all the way through the building, right? Like, you want it to feel at a glance like you're actually inside, right? But then it also kind of makes sense. Like, people could come in here, and this could be like a little area where people would meet after the service or whatever as well. Now, the question is, if we want to have a second floor, how are we going to fit stairs in here? How big are the stairs? That is the question. And the answer is they're pretty dang large. So we can't have the stairs in the sanctuary. We're not going to put them there. I wonder if we could actually expand the foundation out back. And we could do... See, there's enough room there to kind of navigate around, right? I mean, I don't necessarily love that, but it works. Like, it works just fine. So that's what we're going to do. So, you know, the church is going to take whatever space it needs because, you know, holiness unto the Lord, right? So, since we've done that, what we'll do is there we go. We'll put those stairs there like that, which actually feels pretty good, I would say. Now we can work on the floor. Brick floor. We probably should put some supports underneath this brick flooring because, you know, I don't know that people were all that great at building back in the year 1100. So if you were to have a building like this and you come down here, you look at this room, see, like that ceiling is pretty much ready to collapse, I would say. So what we're going to want to do is put some support beams in there. And those are going to be kind of obnoxious because nobody wants to see a beam in the middle of the room, really. But they serve the purpose of keeping the roof from falling on the people who are trying to get their lives right with the Lord. So Come on, man. One more. All right. So that's pretty solid. Probably ought to take a moment and put some lighting in so that we can see. There is something kind of novel about a little rural chapel where people come and, you know, just kind of enjoy the vibe of being together and like all that kind of stuff. And these lamps are not going to be exactly level, but you know, take what you can get, because it's the year 1100, so what do you expect? Tape measures were not yet invented, so, you know, it just plays how it plays, you know? That's where you just have to kind of, you know, learn to love it. Like, man, that's kind of jank, huh? Oh well. It says it must be placed on the ground. Well, that's weird. Uh-oh. That one's kind of stuck in the wall. Oh well. You know what? It's fine. It is fine. It was Hillary Clinton who once said, "Do not let perfect be the enemy of the good." And I don't know what she meant by that, but it sounded pretty good when she said it. So I kind of hung on to that one. I'll tell you, I don't want to be a rude person, but I've always thought Hillary Clinton was a pretty ugly woman. But you know, that's could well just be me. And that could well be a really ungentlemanly thing to say, but you know, sometimes it's fun just to tell the truth, you know? So there's that. All right. Well, anyway, we got some illumination in here. Put a few more lamps up on the wall here. Put another one in here. And then we'll come upstairs. And now we can come out here and really do even more good things. I think what we want to do is put more of those support beams there. And then we'll do another section of floor. And I'm thinking for the second floor, what we will do is we will actually use stone instead of brick. And those are some really nice kind of churchy looking windows. So we will do those all around. And it kind of makes sense that you would have like some nicer quality building materials mixed with somewhat lower quality building materials, just because even if people wanted to make it nice, like they still have to kind of work with what they've got, right? And then what we'll do is we'll have the windows most of the way around, but not every single wall panel will have a window. Because again, a little bit of cost savings. And you also want just a little bit, possibly, privacy. So we'll do that. And we'll do that stone wall. I feel like we should have some kind of a window there. So we'll do, actually, yeah, that's kind of a nice idea right there, isn't it? But maybe that big archway window is a little too ostentatious for what we're doing today. So I think what we'll do is we'll just do this double window here. So we have a little bit of light coming down on the stairwell. But it's also a kind of a secluded private space. Like if you wanted to just sort of, you know, maybe meditate a little bit, you could go to the stairwell to pray or cry about your life or something. All right, so we'll come out here and we'll do the low roof there. We'll have one solid wall here. And then we'll have a second floor balcony kind of a deal. I'll have to go into, I believe it's decorations. Memory serves. Maybe it's furniture. I don't remember. Okay, there we go. And we'll do the little fence. Doesn't look like there's a stone fence, so we'll do this wooden fence for a balcony. That's fine. Keep people from falling off of there. Of course, we're definitely, you know, over-engineering this whole building because we don't really need to be doing any of this, but we are going to do it because we can. All right. Oh, look, everybody's come in to hang out in here. Like, they don't even have anything to do in here, but they've still come to hang out. So, oh, wait, hold up. Hang on. I heard someone. There's a brigand. I gotta save. And I gotta equip my sword. How do I do it? I've got to prepare to go to war. Because I don't have an army. Oh, look. All of the unbuilt parts of my church are now made manifest. I have a lot of building here to do. All right. Where's that brigand at? Claudine. Claudine, where's the criminal? Tell me. Right. Are they gone? Oh. I know there's a criminal out there causing havoc. I saw him. Saw his nameplate. But I guess he knew I was coming down. So he's like, I guess I'll go. All the going was good. Because he saw my high quality weapon in my hand and I was ready to go to war. Gotta protect my villagers. Because we don't have very much. Like, this is an early access game. We don't have a lot of material things. We just have our wood and our stone and our hopes and dreams that maybe one day our settlement can be a glorious and respectable thing. What's Theobald doing? Theobald is bald. Look at that. I kind of like how the villagers look. Like, they're kind of janky and stupid looking, but they're also kind of good looking in a way. Like, it's kind of weird. Like, this game is... It's really good looking in some ways and then really jank looking in others. But, you know, can't win them all. But it really does seem like this studio is like, you know, it's a labor of love kind of thing. Like, these people are trying to make a good game. And, I mean, they kind of have succeeded because here I am playing it. Spent $25 to buy this game. And, is it perfect? No. But I kind of love it. It's pretty cool. And the frustration element, though, too. Like, I also have to kind of just point out, like, I haven't been all that frustrated with any of the stuff in or not in this game. Like, it feels kind of, I don't know. It's kind of like it's, you know, not perfect. And I can tell it's early access, but what's there is actually kind of cool. So, stone gable. All right, so we got the little roof there. I might use that for like that porch area, but I really wanted to do like a big roof. Wood gable. And I gotta see. All right, so we could do that. Stone roof, that's probably what we want to do. Yeah, that's not bad. Then we could do that little... See, hold up. If we come out here, right? What if we do that? Like we just go all out. And we make a bold decision here. We are going to have a steeple. And we're not going to just have any old steeple. We're going to have a nice, tall steeple. We're going to see what that looks like. And then we're going to take that and put it all the way up there at the top, if that's possible. May not be possible. Maybe if we go down here, we can put it up there. Now, see, now that is maybe that's what this view is for. Okay. See, I might be trying to build too close to the sun. Oh, look, we can zoom out. All right. I think we're going to be able to do it. Right. So, there we go. Uh-oh. No, I was able to do it. Look at that. How incredible. What a glorious thing we have done here. It's going to be like a really, really incredible church that we are building. So, if the Pope comes, he will be pleased. Though I think we do have a bit of a problem here. See, what I want to do is I want to have that slanty roof there. And I want it to be like that. Right? And now I'm going to go back and I'm going to do that. Well, I got to go back upstairs. This music in this game is really silly sounding. Like after you've heard that weird, funny music a few dozen times, it gets on your nerves. But then after you heard it a few more dozen times after that, it kind of grows on you a little bit. Like, yeah, I guess. All right, so if I do 4 of them panels, hopefully I can do do one of those. There we go. And then I can put these other ones back that I kind of got rid of by accident. Right. Now in hindsight, I don't know if it's all that wise to have this like wood supporting stone situation, so we're going to take this out of here, because when I did that, I did not really anticipate that I was going to do that whole wild steeple thing. Uh-oh. We deleted a lot more than I anticipated. I didn't mean to destroy all that. All right. Well, that's all right. We'll put it back. You know, I'm really excited. We got the new Surviving Mars relaunch game coming out soon. That's going to be pretty cool. It's coming out, I think, on Monday, if memory serves. And then we have, let's see. That's not all. We have Anno 117 coming out soon, too. Like next week, I think. You know, people say that, like, the best days are behind us when it comes to gaming or something, but Then I think about how much cool stuff there is. I'm like, you know what? I don't know about that. All right. Let's go back into that overhead view and see what do we have going on here. Oh, that's not good at all. Come on. Man, that's touchy. All right. So okay. I have got a plan. I got to take the roof off so I can see what I'm doing though. So that, I'm going to take away that. And we're going to do another batch of that roof. Just like we had done before. Only that is not going to work. So probably because I put that there. So we're going to have to take that piece of ceiling away. See if we can, oops, wrong button. All right. There we go. Now that's what I had in mind. Only we aren't done. We're going to go even further out. We're going to do that. Uh-oh. I hear people fighting. What the heck is going on? I need to, where's my sword at? That's a log. Okay. Come on, man. Where's the criminal? I heard the criminal. I gotta get out of here and find him. I can't build my church when there's a criminal out there. Where is he? I know he's out there. I heard him. Edith, have you seen a criminal around here? How about you, Magdalena? Is there a criminal around here? I heard someone. Oh, there he is. Look at that. I see him. Oh, probably better save the game because I don't want... Okay. I don't want to get myself a whooping and then have to reload and lose all that progress. So you have to hit the tab button. That's the thing. Oh, shoot. All right. All right. You got the first hit. And I missed you. Shoot, this is not good. All right. Clink, clink. Okay. No. All right, I got a hit in. Come on now. Man, this is such janky combat. My goodness. Like, this is probably like the worst combat I've ever experienced in any video game ever. I don't know. Like, this is just not good. But, you know, we're gonna forgive it. Because this is not really a combat kind of a game. And I'm almost dead, but I think I can hopefully get at least one more hit in. All right, he missed. My goodness. Uh-oh, I died. That's why you save the game. See, what I didn't realize is you lose all your stamina when you're holding down the right mouse button, because like trying to block uses the same stamina you would use to do an attack, and there is no like light or heavy attack. There's just one attack and there's one block, And both of them use the same type of stamina. So this is the first time in combat that I have encountered a situation where you can't attack at all because you used your stamina. All right. And then if you don't hit tab to lock onto the enemy, you also cannot attack. So see, that's the thing. Like, it's not hard to attack, right? What's difficult is to get your head wrapped around the fact that you cannot attack at all unless you first hit tab to lock onto the enemy. And you also cannot attack in any way whatsoever or block in any way whatsoever if you run out of stamina, which is used for every part of the combat experience. So there you have it. Figured it out for you. My goodness. All right. Well, anyway, we got rid of the criminal, so now we can go back to doing the work of the Lord here. And we're going to go out here. We're going to pick that little pointy section of the wall and see if we can put it up over there. It's going to be a little hard to get the right view. But maybe I need to go back outside for this. Okay. There we go. And now you might be thinking, well, that roof looks a bit funny. And I would agree with you. But the good news is there's a plan. And it's not gonna necessarily look better when we're done with it, but it's gonna look a little bit different. So we are going to take these little deals we're gonna see if we can like I was gonna try to like build out like a little stone, like a little like an outcropping kind of a thing. But I think that I have come to an understanding of what is wrong. I must build a platform here. That is the secret of what has been missing. And now I am going to, just like St. Peter, and build up a church. And that there is what I kind of had in mind. There is a certain elegance to taking a rather limited building system and then kind of just using the pieces you have. You know, like if you think about it, you know, if you were just a kid, right? Doing blocks, building things, you really wouldn't mind the fact that you only have a few different kind of blocks to choose from. Like, you would just keep on building. All right. Unbelievable. There's another criminal over there. Now, it seems to be the case that even though these criminals will come in and terrorize your community, they don't actually do any harm to your villagers, because yet again, that's one of those things that has not been incorporated into the game yet. So you don't have to worry too much about your village being destroyed by criminals, and your people being killed by them, because they mostly just make those grunting noises and run around, causing minor mischief. All right. So I think we're kind of at a point where we can say we have done it. Like, the top floor still needs lighting, but you know, this is going to be a nice church. Let's go back out across the bridge for a moment, and we will admire our handiwork and see, you know, how does it look from a distance? Does this look like something to be proud of? So we're going to walk down this little road and just imagine that we're just kind of just going down the path, you know, being a random, cozy adventurer, all alone in the world. And then we come across this settlement and we're like, wow, look at that. There's some good-looking villagers all sitting around enjoying a beer. I think I'll go over here. And then we come in a little closer. And we look over there and we say, my goodness, look at that amazing thing. That church looks like the Lord himself came and built it with Zeus's hammer. And then we will go across that bridge there and we will say, what a beautiful community this is. You know, where is the Starbucks? And then it'll just get better and better from there. That being said, though, we have a labor shortage. So being benevolent as I am, I guess I better just get started building. Because these walls, not really going to build themselves. And once we get into the sanctuary here, we do have the altar, which we need to build in order for this to actually be a church. The only problem is we cannot. So we go to research. The church is still being researched because we don't yet know how to worship correctly. So someone, whoever it is in the library, Richard is over in the library being a scholar, and he is going to discover religion for us. And when he does that, then we will be able to build an altar. And then this building will become a church. And what a glorious day that will be. Hopefully, that'll be within the next hour or so. And I could go over there and kind of pore over the manuscripts with him. Maybe make the research go along a little faster. But I would rather be over here building with my hands. Or rather, realizing that I am out of bricks and going to look for more. That's what I wanted to do. So, you know, ever since New World shut down, it kind of put me in a bit of a funk. Started thinking about all the other games I wanted to play. I started thinking, I wonder, like, what games are a little bit like New World? And then I started thinking about all other games that are not New World. I started thinking I would like to play those. And I thought, maybe I need to just start playing all these games that I have in my library. And so here we are, playing a game that I didn't even really have on the bucket list. Like, I've known about it a little bit from watching a few videos, but I hadn't really thought too much about it until I just kind of got a hankering to say, I want to play that. So here we are. And even if the building systems are limited, there's only so much you can do. In a way, like, you already can do a lot more, even in a very simple game like this, than you really ever could do in any MMO. Because in MMOs, you can't really build anything in many cases. So, all right, what do we got going on? Extortion. You have been informed. There is a group of brigands outside of town. Vulnerable townspeople are being harassed. These outlaws are demanding money to leave. So, we could run them out like the dogs they are, which would increase morale. We could ignore them because they wouldn't try anything. If we pay them any attention, they will think this will work again. We could get a morale boost, but more likely they will steal 200 coins and we will have bad morale. And, you know, I think what we're going to do, because we have $2,700, we could just pay them. However, we must do what is right. So we will fight them. And I might regret this soon, because where am I even? Where am I at? I don't even... Oh, okay. Run off the bandits. Bring a garrison of guards if you have them. Well, I do not have them. So, it says 0 of 5. So it kind of sounds like maybe I just need to defeat 5 of these brigands. So I think what I will do is I will save my game yet again. And I will continue about my business and see, oh, look, there's an extortion area over there. So I will find my sword. And it appears that in this game, there is only indeed one variety of sword that one might use. So we have equipped the sword, and we will now run through the grass on our way to go to war. And because we are few, I will defend the village with my own 2 hands, being brave and fearless, and knowing that I saved my game just moments ago. But because I'm brave and fearless, I will save my game one more time. And we are now just 120 meters away. Oh no, that was not a good sound at all. Sounded sort of like something splattered. Like my head being splattered. I didn't care for that. So, let's say, all right. This is the extortion area. That doesn't sound good, does it? But I have my sword, so nothing to fear. All right. I am in Oh my goodness, there they are. They're here to extort me. All right, whack, whack. All right. Uh-oh. I gotta remember what I said about that, about the stamina. Uh-oh. So once you lock on, you can't escape, huh? All right. Again, the absolute worst. The worst combat I've ever experienced. Because I have pressed the tab button. And now I cannot escape. Because I cannot stop facing them. All right. Uh-oh. I suppose I'm almost dead, so I should run away. Because that didn't work very well. But I killed one bandit. So you see, this is not particularly difficult. But my health is not getting better, I would assume. I just can't see my health bar, so I would have no way of knowing how injured I am. Except for I guess when you bring up the menu, the game does not pause. So that's also a good thing to know, that the game does not pause when you bring up a menu. Sort of like how a MMO cannot be paused. Noble Legacy cannot be paused. Because it's a single-player game. And you can't pause single-player games. So, you know? One of those things, you know? Like, I'm not a game developer. But I can't help but think, you know? I don't know. Don't know what y'all were thinking there. All right, so you know what? Here's the deal. We got a church to build. We got no army. And I really don't want to do what I just did again. So we're going to pay $150. And the extortion is now over. And we are going to go back to church. Because, you know, Occam's razor. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best one. Only problem is, I don't know how to go home anymore. So where am I? That is the question. I don't know. I'm now far away from home. And I am become lost. And somehow, despite the fact I didn't think I'd gone very far, apparently I did, so. All right. Hopefully this is the direction that I need to go. Yes, it is. I can see the village over that yonder hill. I am now within sight of the sanctuary. And that is a very lovely view. Harold, I believe, is the guy who's supposed to be building things. Harold, as you know, doesn't do a whole heck of a lot. Like, he works, but he doesn't work very well. All right, so we're going to go make a small detour and go this way. There weren't any flowers in this field, and then they just sort of magically appeared. That's what I was looking for. That clay. So after work today, I went to the Starbucks inside the Barnes & Noble, and I got a pumpkin. No, not a pumpkin. It was a Shoot. One of those holiday flavored lattes. It wasn't a peppermint mocha. It was not a pumpkin spice latte. So what was it? I don't know. My memory evades me. But it was a nice holiday flavored drink, which I thought was rather pleasant. I drank it and walked around the Barnes & Noble and had a nice time. Walked around the Kohl's. And I came home. Smelt bog iron crafting. So, how do you craft different things with this foundry? That is my question. Because I don't want to craft bog iron. I want to craft bricks. Maybe it's the tool I have equipped. No. Well, yet again, the game does not do a very good job of telling us how to play it. So, I guess I'll put my supplies into the storage and see if one of my villagers makes more of the supplies I need. It does sometimes feel, though, like it's not just early access games like this, it's a lot of games. It just feels like... Sometimes it feels like the developers don't play the games that they make. It's like... You guys really don't... You don't notice, like, how bad some of this is? So... It's like I have this clay, so how do I craft it into bricks? Like I just did craft clay into bricks over here. And like, see, now I ran up and now it's just like it was before. It lets me craft bricks. So I guess it's because like I had stone and I had bricks in my inventory. I really don't know. Like I don't know why a minute ago it was set to some different setting so I couldn't make bricks. But now I totally can make bricks. So it's like, okay. Guess that is what it is. But I guess that's my new theme. Practicing grace in gaming by not getting frustrated when things that seem like they should be simple wind up taking a little more time or wind up being a little more inconvenient to learn or master than I expect. Because when you do come out on the other side and you figure it out and you see something to its furthest extent and you're like, yeah, I did it, then that's always a good feeling. You're like, wow, I like that. That's pretty cool. So, you know, the nice thing about the current time I have going to work, I'm working weekends, and I'm working 12 hours a day. So I have the unique privilege of showing up to work at 6 a.m. and not really leaving my workspace for 12 hours. And then I get to do that 3 days in a row, which doesn't sound great, but I have experienced worse. And then when I finally finish this, and it's Monday night, then I will have the opportunity to enjoy not going back to work until Saturday morning. So to be able to have all the way from Monday night to Saturday morning off is actually pretty dang cool. And it's not a permanent schedule, that's just for right now. But the downside is it does wind up making you a bit tired. It does wind up meaning that on those 2 nights when you have to turn around and get up early in the morning, it's pretty easy to not feel like you want to do a whole lot. But that's what really prompted me to get this idea. I am going to do the things I wanted to do. I'm going to go home and walk on the treadmill and make a video and play a game and do all of those things at the same time. And, you know, that's actually kind of cool to be able to do that. And I've said it before, I will say it again. Walking treadmill at the desk is a real game changer. If you're a person who has an office desk job, if for any reason you struggle to get exercise, or if you're just a basement-dwelling gamer that is antisocial and likes to hide inside your hole all the time, you don't have to be, you don't have to go outside into the sunlight necessarily to get off your arse and move. So, $160 I think I paid for the little treadmill I put at my desk, and man, it really works wonders. So I would recommend. And another thing I would say is, like, I think about all the videos I make, and I do think it's helped me kind of, just because talking out loud, it's something, it's kind of therapeutic, it's like journaling, only it's just talking, like when you spend time with other people, you're talking to your friends or whatever, like that's therapeutic, but some of it, it's just nice to be able to talk out loud. And so that's been good. And I think once in a while, like, I'll say something which maybe intrigues other people to a point. And so it's nice to share things, because we all like to know we're not alone in the journey. And the other thing I've noticed is, like, there was a time, like 5 years ago, if I had to get on a call, or if I had to talk on the phone, I hated it. It was so awkward. I had anxiety. If I had to get on a Zoom call or something and have different people and talk to them about stuff, like that kind of just was really, really something I did not want to do. And I would be super awkward and nervous, and everyone could tell. And I'll always remember something Asmongold actually said on one of his videos. He said, if you want to be successful and you want to, make YouTube videos or content of some kind, you have to turn the camera on. And that always stuck with me, because it's so true. Like, it's not even about being the best. It's about just doing it, right? Like, that's the big hurdle we struggle so much to get past. Not that we can't do it, but that we have so much anxiety about the idea of doing it. We're never willing to do it every day. We're never able or willing to practice continually. You get better at it. You get used to it. And if there is something that I've gotten out of probably hundreds of hours of making videos and talking about random things, it's realizing that camera is not scary to talk to. People aren't scary to talk to in a digital space either. I've just kind of gotten better at a lot of that stuff, gotten used to it more. And now, like, I have a job where I spend my day usually talking to strangers, probably here and there jumping on some sort of a Zoom call. It's not the kind of a job where you can be successful if you're not willing to talk to people, or if you can't have a conversation with someone you don't know. So what I never really realized is, like, all of the time spent making these videos actually kind of helped me to get over some of that social anxiety associated with turning on a webcam and talking into it and stuff. And there's also that soft skill of being able to just organically make talk. Never shut up and have a conversation, and just always have something to talk about, even if it's kind of one-sided, right? Like, what do you do when you are talking and no one has anything to say? Because in a professional environment, this happens a lot. You schedule a call. Everyone's like, okay, we'll be on. And now you have an hour, and you're supposed to fill that hour with content. And so you're in front of people, maybe in a physical space, maybe a digital space on a Zoom call or something like that. And you say, well, okay, does anyone else have anything? And there's 30 people on the call, and not a single one of them has anything to say. Well, what do? Right? Do you just kind of freeze up and have nothing to say? And then be like, well, okay, I guess that's it. Like, I knew a guy. He gets on a call. Like, he was supposed to be leading this team of people for a special project. And he's actually a store manager. So, like, he's not, you know, a low-level person. Like, he's pretty good at his job, and you would think that he's got it. But he has that anxiety, right? He doesn't know how to lead a group of people and have those conversations. So we'd get everybody on the call, and then he just, like, wouldn't have anything to say. And, like, that was awkward, right? Because, you know, he couldn't really lead engagement in that particular way. And I think that was a learning experience for him, because he was not bad at his job, but he did struggle with some of that stuff. So I just say all of that to say, you know, putting yourself out there in some way is a useful thing, and it's good to do that. And I think making content, even if it hasn't really been about necessarily trying so much to, you know, build viewership or something necessarily, it's been useful as a tool for, you know, getting better at some of that stuff. So what I'm noticing here is that I have a problem because I made that tall structure, but then I can't get up there. So what will I do? I think what I must do is I must make some fake stairs. And I will climb the fake stairs. And hopefully I will be able to get up to the top and finish the steeple. We will see. All right. It is interesting. This steeple is winding up to be a bit more of a challenge than I had expected it to be. So maybe see, this is where the game's glitches may come in to save the day. Because we can create things that don't exist, potentially. But it is very glitchy. Maybe I have to it's hard to make things snap. And then it kind of wants to, it's almost like it's cloning what you hover your mouse over. Oh, there we go. Heck, after I do all this work, maybe I'll wind up just leaving it like that. Because it'll be unique, right? It does make you wonder, though, like, you know, how did people do some of the things that they did back in the old days? They would build, like, pretty intricate scaffolding. Because, you know, you only had so much resources. So back in those days, you just have to make the most out of what you had. Well, anyways, I'm going to tinker with this some more and see if I can finish the final touches of the church. But you can see what we are trying to do here, and I think we're going to be successful at it. I just have to tinker a little bit more, which I will do off camera, and we will let this be a wrap for episode 3 of building a settlement in Noble Legacy. So, till next time, as always, been a pleasure, and thank you so much for watching.